place in the panorama of Hollywood movie stars. Often dismissed as a blank-faced surfer type, the actor has had to work extra hard to prove his talent. But along the way, he's collected some of the biggest box office successes in movie history. With the Matrix series, Speed, and over 40 movies under his belt, the consensus today on this shy, reclusive actor is that he's truly a force to be reckoned with.
If there's one word to describe Keanu Reeves, it's eclectic, starting with his exotic heritage. He was born in Lebanon in 1964. His father, half Hawaiian, half Chinese, was on a geological mission in the Middle East when he met Keanu's mother, who was a British dancer. But his dad was also heavily into drugs and quickly abandoned the family. His mother, first of all, moved the family, Keanu and his sister Kim, to Australia, and then to Toronto, Canada. To say the least, it was a really turbulent childhood. As a teen, Keanu drifted from school to school. He was a pretty unsettled boy, but he did have one constant in his life, which was hockey. He actually earned the nickname The Wall because he was such a great goalie, and he still considers hockey to be a really good metaphor for life.
You get to play, and through that, I guess, the dynamics of behavior, of discovering yourself, of discovering others, culturally and behaviorally. That's an environment where you learn and hopefully can be fostered and prosper as a person.
Keanu's first taste of acting was in a high school production of Shakespeare. The bug instantly bit, and at 17 he left school to pursue his dream. First there was a role in a Canadian sitcom, and then he headed straight for Hollywood.
I like working and part of my ambition was to work in Hollywood. I love some of the films that come out of there, and I love the scope. So I'd love to work in Hollywood, and so I do.
Keanu's first Hollywood role came in 1986 in Young Blood, starring the heartthrob Rob Lowe. Then, a little later, he landed the starring role in the indie film River's Edge, and his stark, brilliant performance as Matt instantly won him acclaim and put him on the map. Following River's Edge's critical success, Keanu went on to star in no less than 4 films in 1986. He then went on to star opposite Glenn Close and John Malkovich in the critically acclaimed Dangerous Liaisons. But then, changing course, he took on the hilarious role of the airhead, Ted, in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Affectionately, the cult classic came to be known as his Dude movie.
You started out doing goofy comedies.
Oh, no, I didn't start out that way. Maybe I did Youngblood. Yeah, maybe. But after that I did River's Edge, which wasn't so goofy. But anyway.
Well, and then you did
did some goofy comedies. But they weren't that goofy, actually. They were very clever, I thought.
You did some dude movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we said dude in it. I think we said dude 69 times in it. Excellent.
The film was such a huge commercial success that it spawned a sequel, and it led Keanu straight into his next hit role as a super cop in the surfing thriller Point Break. That was another enormous success. However, it led to a kind of dichotomy for the actor because it was a mixed blessing in terms of his image. It's a strange phenomenon, really, because Keanu was so successful as the airhead in Bill and Ted, and subsequently as the surfer dude in Point Break, that it's almost as though his success in these roles had a negative spin-off effect. People would see him often as vacuous and one-dimensional, but he does have great emotional breadth and range. And when you look at his career, he does have 100% commitment to the job.
His trademark elusiveness during interviews and his generally convoluted way of explaining things didn't seem to help his image problems. In 1991, impervious to his critics, Keanu launched into a hyper-productive phase in which he made 5 eclectic films in 1 year. He surprised audiences and won great reviews in Gus Van Sant's art film My Own Private Idaho, co-starring River Phoenix. In a fearless performance, Keanu played a fragile street hustler. He subsequently worked with the world's most prestigious directors, including Francis Coppola in his epic version of Dracula, Kenneth Branagh in Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, and Bertolucci's Little Buddha.
But in 1994, Keanu accepted a role that was to dramatically transform his career. He accepted the lead role in Speed, which became a monster hit and changed his career beyond recognition. Keanu had no idea at the time that he was about to become a mainstream action hero.
In fact, at the time, Keanu was far from being considered a bankable Hollywood action star, but director Jan de Bont saw something in him that he knew would work.
First of all, I think he's incredibly attractive. Secondly, because I think he's incredibly physical. And third, because I think it is time to come up as a new star for action movies, you know. No more, of course there still will be Bruce Willis movies and Mel Gibson and Stallone and Wesley Snipes and Schwarzenegger. But it's time for a new star, for new faces. And young audiences like to see younger people in there, I think.
The gamble paid off. Speed made $300 million worldwide. Keanu became a household name, all of which was a bit of a surprise actually to the star.
When it was coming out, I had no idea of how it would go. And when I saw it, I thought it was good. And so I guess I am surprised, to a certain extent. I'm very happy, and happy for Fox, and most of all, Jan de Bont.
The film also provided Keanu to showcase 2 aspects of his talent, which was to become really important later on in his career. And the first one was his ability to do very physical, tough stunt work. The second was his ability to make that physical stunt action aspect convincing on film.
And he's a great actor. And in Point to Break, he proved that he could do it. You know, there were a couple of scenes that I said, God, he could be really, really good. And he was very worried in the beginning of this movie. He was afraid he couldn't do it. And I started letting him do little stunts in the beginning. And he started to like it so much, he kept all his adrenaline going. And then it was non-stop from there on. He did most of his own stunts. So.
On set, the hardworking but shy actor earned the respect of the crew and fellow cast members.
Very sweet, very, very calm. I mean, I thought he was going to be a wild child, and he's very soothing to be around. He's very quiet, so that made me be all over the place. So I was pretty much the clown, and he was sort of the keeper of the calm. He's a very sweet person. He's a very good person, and it's rare.
After Speed, Keanu again showed his interest in taking on very eclectic roles by accepting a role in a dreamlike, much more slow-paced Walk in the Clouds. And the director of that film was very interested in showing Keanu's expressive, more gentle side.
He's a very good actor, and he has certain innocence that I needed for this very, very romantic role. And we got lucky. We all got lucky because a month ago, Keanu's last film, Speed, was released, and he became a star. So we didn't have a star. We only had a good actor. Now we had a good actor and a star. So we were lucky.
1995 was a critical time in Keanu's career as he had to come to terms with his newfound box office clout.
Box office is important. I think it signifies 2 things. You know, if you have good box office, then it brings means that people like your work or like the work that you're involved with. And so if that's the case, then it maybe allows for opportunity. You know, then it might bring more work or opportunity to express yourself or create other work. You know, or have more creative control. So it can be important and it can be not important.
On set, the actor bonded with screen legend Anthony Quinn, who paid him the ultimate compliment.
I love the boy. I think he has, well, I'll tell you, I love him so much that I've just written a script about my life. And I said to him, too bad you're not 10 years older, damn it. I would love for you to play that part of my life, my first part of my life.
When we come back, we'll see that while Keanu's career was skyrocketing, he had to face a string of personal tragedies.
Just as Keanu was experiencing a meteoric rise in his career, in 1993 he was suddenly hit with a string of personal tragedies that obviously affected him very deeply indeed. His close friend, River Phoenix, died of an overdose outside Johnny Depp's Hollywood nightclub, and shortly afterwards his sister Kim was diagnosed with leukemia. He rarely talks about these incidents and the effect they've had on his life.
You know, when you come from a family that's already struggled with drug addiction, it can be especially devastating when it takes the life of a close friend. And when you add to that someone who grew up separated and isolated, moving from country to country with only a sibling to rely on, the news that this sibling might have a life-threatening illness can throw someone just into a tailspin.
Keanu also dealt with the pain by taking a new approach to work. With the luxury now of not having to work for money anymore, he decided to only take on roles if they really meant something to him.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm free from the financial concern, it's really just about script and story.
A proof of this newfound philosophy, Keanu decided at the time to turn down a prominent role opposite Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in Heat. The role eventually went to Val Kilmer. What he did instead, well, he decided to do Shakespeare on stage in Canada. And this had film executives wondering what was going on with the star. Also, he formed a rock band, Dog Star, and played bass guitar.
I play bass in a band. Yeah.
You go on tour now?
Yes. We just came from Europe. We played Paris at Chesterfield Club. Like 100 dB level. Can't do a rock show at 100 dBs. What are you French thinking? You can drink coffee at 100 dB. So they did. Yeah. Anyway. But we had fun there. It was beautiful.
Saying no to a major film in Hollywood is obviously a big risk and often a career breaker, but Keanu seems to have some kind of sixth sense. In 1996, Hollywood was stunned when Keanu turned down a huge pay offer when he was offered the chance to reprise his role in Speed 2. Of course, it turned out to be a big flop. Nobody knew that at the time, however, but Keanu said he just had an instinct that he shouldn't take the role.
Just was wanted to go in another direction as an actor, wanted to try and find something else. I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything in mind. I just knew that I couldn't go there again. So I just said no, and we'll see what happens.
In hindsight, that decision was one of the smartest in his career. Speed 2 bombed. With his Hollywood reputation intact, Keanu was now able to choose roles that really interested him personally. He chose an intelligent thriller, Chain Reaction, with Morgan Freeman, and he was able to voice his own concerns in that film about the environment.
Just that, environmentally, it's becoming quite dire with the industrialization that's occurring. I wanted to confront power and money that eventually, not that the meek are going to inherit the earth, but there might not be an earth to inherit.
The film was not a huge success, but that didn't stop Keanu from landing a challenging role opposite Al Pacino in the hit film The Devil's Advocate. Keanu held his own in scenes with the veteran actor.
In 1998, Keanu signed on to play another action hero in what was to be the single most important role of his career, The Matrix. It was an enormous, unprecedented worldwide success.
In the sci-fi action thriller, Keanu played Neo, an ordinary man who gets drawn into a parallel reality only to discover he may just be a messiah. Action and fight scenes were shot in ways no one had ever seen before. In addition, Keanu had to infuse his character with a spiritual dimension.
It's a beautiful role. I think it's beautifully written, and I think what the character comes to understand and what the character comes to ask for is really beautiful and of merit to what's going on. It's great in a science fiction movie. Yeah, it's great. Anyway.
No one could have predicted the worldwide impact of The Matrix, not since Star Wars had a futuristic sci-fi film had such a universal appeal, and that's partly because it was stylish, ultra-hip, revolutionary images and special effects, and also because of Keanu himself, who portrayed this sort of naive, ordinary guy who just realizes that he might in fact be the chosen one, and he was clearly the right actor for the job. It's hard to think of another actor who could have done this role so well. The film featured extensive Hong Kong-style combat scenes for which Keanu trained intensively, mastering over 200 martial arts moves. Once again, it was his capacity to accomplish difficult stunts that yet again made them credible, and that was the keystone to creating the character of Neo.
The film earned over $450 million worldwide and became such a pop culture event, the film's creators, the Wachowski brothers, hurried to make 2 more installments, Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. The trilogy instantly took its place alongside respected series such as Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. For Keanu, their mega popularity was a no-brainer.
I think because they're fun, they're accessible, they're interesting, they're provocative. I think the platform, the ideas that they deal with, they're human, they're humanistic. They have questions that and provoke and they prompt things that we can deal with and take with us to our own life. And they're very modern. I think that there's something about them that is, and then yet they're steeped in tradition. So there's something classical and modern at the same time. So that there's a kind of, I don't know, they're smart, and they're fun, and they're cool. No, but and I think the ideas and the humanity that's in them. Personally, I think it's interesting. The way that they deal with the evolution of machines and man and dual reality and what's truth and how we live and all of those choices we make. I think
Keanu's salary was as stratospheric as the film itself. In fact, for all 3 Matrix films, he received a salary of $40 million plus 15% of the total gross of the films, which led to approximately $150 million. This instantly propelled him into the league of megastars such as Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise, who have that rare combination of global appeal, creative control, and having a huge share of their film's profits. In an act of generosity, Keanu gave each member of the 12-person stunt crew a brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycle. In addition, he shared part of his profits with other crew members. It was really his way of recognizing their contribution to the film's success.
Up next, with the world at his feet, so to speak, we'll see what new direction Keanu decided to take in his career.